Dave in Armstrong Creek, Wisconsin, watching Free Speech TV. What do you have?
Hey, Tom. I hope you're doing well in D.C. there.
Thank you. Yeah, no complaints. What's up?
I saw the speech that Trump gave to the group of policemen there several times from different viewpoints, and what he said really didn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's just typical Trump, but the reaction of the people behind him and the people in the crowd is what really bothered me.
Yeah.
So they seem real enthusiastic about it, even where their police commissioner came out against it. It looked to me like the regular beat cops were, if that's their mentality, that's kind of scary as far as I
You mean we can slap around suspects now? Oh, boy!
Yeah, well, just their reactions, their smiles on their faces, and, they thought that was great.
I noted that the day that it happened. It was last Tuesday, I think, or something like early last week, and somebody called in and said it might have been that they were just nervous. Sometimes people will laugh because they're nervous, not because they support something.
Yeah.
And,
well, I hope so.
Watching the President of the United States say something everybody in that crowd had to know was illegal, inappropriate, totally, uncalled for, and destructive to the police, by the way. I mean, the more that Trump can do to destroy the trust between communities and their police departments, the more he's putting cops in the line of fire. He's actually setting police up to get killed by talking like that. And that's not a good thing. Dave, excellent point. Thank you very much. Thanks for the call. Let's see. We've added mainstreaming radical right-wing stuff, right-wingers, to our list over the last 4 minutes. Apparently, the Southern Poverty Law Center has published a little 28-page book of all the horrors that have come out of the Trump administration. Now, this having to do with, the rise of hardcore right nationalists and right-wing crazies and all that kind of stuff. So, your thoughts. Sheila in Littleton, Colorado. Hey, Sheila.
Hi, good morning. I have one to add to your list. Trump should have appointed Merrick Garland, and he should not have allowed Mitch to steal the Supreme Court seat. No, he put Gorsuch. He put an extreme right-winger on the court. So that's one more for your list.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mike in Fairview, Michigan. What's your suggestion for our list, Mike?
Hi, Tom. How are you, sir? I'm a veteran, Vietnam veteran, and when that loser Trump was on the circuit for his presidency, he cried about he needed a Purple Heart, and what really galled me was that old vet on stage with him. And his attempt at some kind of attitude about and that vet took his Purple Heart off his vest and handed it to that loser.
Yeah.
That galled me. It made me to the point where I couldn't look at other vets and think to myself that here's somebody that knows about the Constitution of the United States and still, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Falls into that trap of what I just couldn't. It galled me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not a veteran, and it galled me. Clearly, Trump doesn't understand about Purple Hearts and all that. Mike, excellent. Thank you for adding something to my list. Senator Jeff Flake stepping into the fray. This is very strange because I had always considered Jeff Flake to be a lightweight, right-wing Republican, basically lightweight. And he's got a new book out. And he was on one of the Sunday shows here. Which show was this from, Chris? Face the Nation. Thank you very much. And so here's a little clip of Jeff Flake talking about Donald Trump. And at what point do you say, hey, that's enough? Stop. Here's Jeff Flake.
You also say this about character. We cannot claim to place the highest premium on character, then abruptly suspend the importance of character in the most vital civic decision that we make. When we excuse on our side what we attack on the other, then we are hypocrites. If we do that as a practice, then we are corrupt. If we continually accept this conduct as elected officials, then perhaps we shouldn't be elected officials. Are Republican leaders complicit in this if they don't call out their president?
I do think so. I think that, obviously the last thing you want to do is wake up every morning and see a tweet and think, oh, I'm just, you know, it's tough not to just say, I'm
It's a
not going to
tweet.
respond, and we
Oh,
can't
no.
respond to everything. But there are times when you have to stand up and say, I'm sorry, this is wrong. There are truths that are self-evident. And you've got to stand up and call, whether it's the White House or other elected officials, to task when they're not doing what they should. And I do think that that we bear the responsibility, if we're elected officials, to do that.
So yes, Republicans are complicit, says Jeff Flake. And, you know, he's not going to be invited to the White House Christmas party, I'm guessing. Well, who knows? I mean, you know, who knows? Basically, what Flake is saying is that if you don't stand up and stop or speak out, at the very least, about the kinds of things that Trump is doing, you know, like his executive order instructing the Department of Homeland Security to hire 5,000 new Border Patrol agents and build detention facilities and blah, blah. John Kelly directed ICE to hire 10,000 new agents and gave them all kinds of powers. The Muslim ban, right? I mean, you know, this is pretty grim. Leroy in Watertown, Michigan. Hey, Leroy, what's up?
Hello, Tom.
Or Wisconsin, excuse me, Watertown, Wisconsin.
Hello, Tom. How you doing today?
Good.
I heard your monologue, and you asked for suggestions as to maybe, well, you said crimes, I guess.
Well, but that includes moral crimes and, you know, crimes against the environment. You know what I mean? I'm talking about.
Exactly what he has tried to do as it relates to the EPA is going to affect us all.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I heard that, you know, I couldn't possibly grasp how do we, you know, as individuals who are concerned and should be concerned for each other, go about the business of trying to dismantle an agency that's here to protect us all.
Yeah. And especially our children.
That's where I go. I have 3 grandchildren that I would love. I'm teaching them how to fish now, and I would love for them to be able to continually practice that sport.
Yeah.
But if he has his way, I mean, I don't know.
They won't be able to eat those fish. There may not even be any fish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I won't hold you, but like I say, I do appreciate you and all you've done.
Thank you, Leroy. That's a good one. I wrote it down. The EPA and our children's future. Thank you. Laura in Chicago. Hey, Laura, what's up?
Yeah, hi. 2 points that I want to add to this list, and that is his attack on net neutrality, which is really democratizing, you know, horizontally organized media that we've always dreamed about, right?
Right.
So that's one. And then his just undermining the legitimacy of our elections. There was a new report out today from a Government Accountability Institute. Have you ever heard of this institute?
I have not.
It's not the Government Accountability Institute. It's one that was founded by Peter Schweitzer, the author of Clinton Cash, and Steve Bannon, and is funded by Mercer. And they apparently got voter rolls from 21 states. And
that's Chris Kobach's cross-check.
Yeah, it's kind of like, but it was a study. They said it was a study. And what they found was that there were thousands of duplicate voters.
Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Not duplicate votes, duplicate voters. And, you know, oh, this is bizarre.
Bingo.
Yeah.
8,471 highly likely duplicates. And then
of course there are. On average, Americans move every 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, when I moved from Oregon to Washington, D.C., I didn't call up the Secretary of State in Oregon and say, take my name off the list. I just stopped voting there. That's what most people do.
And Tom?
Yes?
Are you still here?
I am, Laura.
Okay, great, because they also brought up that there was, I'm forgetting the number now, but thousands of people that were registered to post office boxes and UPS, you know, places, and these are the homeless.
That's
and
right.
They also are the nomads, right?
That's
the
right.
Senior citizens.
People living in RVs, traveling around the country. Yeah, absolutely. And they're trying to prevent all those people from voting, too. Rick in Weston, West Virginia. Hey, Rick, what do you want? What do you have for the list?
Yeah, I recently rewatched Plutocracy 1, 2, and 3 and Shadows of Democracy, and I had forgotten this, but you know, basically since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, which I believe was in 1805 when they figured out how to get water out of the coal mines over in Wales, it's always been management against labor. And it's always, if people watched it, they'd realize how brutal management resorted in the 1800s and the 1900s, clear up the 20th century, to suppress labor unions and everything else, and they just seem to have forgotten it. And we really shouldn't be surprised the situation we're in, because it was bound to come to a head. And it's just like, if you don't know your past history, it helps you. If you know your past history, it helps you get a grasp on what's going on. And as far as I'm concerned, the Republicans stole Goebbels' playbook when it comes to propaganda. That's one thing the Democrats haven't seemed to learn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, the question is it Goebbels or is it George Orwell, or both? I mean, I guess, Orwell was channeling Goebbels in a way. But but the management against labor and the Labor Department. Who's running the Labor Department now? That's the Secretary of Labor. I have to look that up. It's somebody who's been managing to keep their head down. No, it's not. We made that mistake last week. But just I guarantee it's going to be somebody who hates unions. I mean, this was something that had never been done before. Republicans, Eisenhower and Nixon and Jerry Ford, none of them would have thought of putting somebody who hates labor unions as the head of the National Labor Relations Board, or as the head of the NLRB, or as Secretary of Labor. But Donald Trump has done both, as did Ronald Reagan, who set the precedent.
There's a three-pronged approach, which has already been mentioned. It's the ecology and voter suppression. And the big one for me is the normalization of fear and violence. He does it better than the Republican Party, which I think is his creator. But the way he normalizes violence is terrifying to me. And if somebody had called for his assassination the way he called for the assassination of Hillary Clinton, there would have been all kinds of hell to pay. And,
I don't think Donald Trump ever called for the assassination.
Well, when he said that that maybe somebody ought to exercise their Second Amendment rights, if to me,
That kind of just slid by the whole media thing, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And he's always wink, like he spoke in front of the policeman, and not to be careful.
Right, and not to protect people in their charge, but instead to rough them up.
And he says he'll pay for their fees if they beat people up.
Yeah.
And the way he normalizes violence and fear, to me, and it helps to promote aggression towards his agenda, and it normalizes it and okays it. So when protesters go out in the street, they can pass these laws saying it's okay to run over a protester, or, and so that is terrifying to me.
Yeah. This is, I'm writing this down, okay to run over protesters. They're passing laws to that effect in state after state. This is, presumably, it's coming out of ALEC. When you see legislation pop up and say, although it may just be, organic Republican stuff. Now, I would add to your normalization of fear and violence, the normalization of racism and misogyny, sexism, or hatred of women.
That is correct, and I think that's Republican-based, and everybody separates Trump from the Republicans, and I think they created him. He's their Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're any different than him.
Broadly speaking, I don't disagree, Laura. It's just that he's not sufficiently sophisticated to lie. Donald Trump lies easily, but he doesn't lie strategically. Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan lie strategically, very easily, but they lie strategically. And there's no shortage of Republicans I've seen on TV in the over the weekend anyway, trying to promote Republican points of view with lies, just naked lies. And Trump has certainly facilitated that too. That's a good one.
Yes.
Laura, I got to move along, but thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. Mitch in Burton, Washington. Hey, Mitch, what's up?
Thank you for taking my call, Tom. I'm just think that the list hasn't included the violation of the only rule that seems to be in every religion, and that is do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. It seems to be rhetoric that's absent in all the fake news, sensationalism, journalism, yellow journalism, whatever you want to call it. I just feel that it's a total violation of a unspoken law.
Yeah,
we don't seem to use it.
Yeah, no, I think
the other thing I called you about was a follow-up on amending the 14th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
There was an earlier caller that brought it up, and I'm glad that he wants to be proactive, because I think the only way to change anything is through the law.
Yeah.
Even though Gorsuch is in there, I still would like to see the 14th Amendment altered so that it doesn't include corporations.
Yeah. Yeah, the 14th Amendment was never intended to include corporations, and the two members of Congress who traveled around the United States in the 1890s claiming that it did were lying through their teeth. But they were well compensated by the railroad barons, who were the ones who had funded 7 separate lawsuits in California, sometimes referred to as the California tax cases of the 1880s, rather, that led to the Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad non-decision, but the head note in the decision that has become the basis of everything right up to Citizens United. Excellent points, both, Mitch. Thank you very much.